Hello, it's time for a Combat Patrol unboxing. Hello everyone, welcome back to another unboxing, and of course that means it's another delivery. So we're on a biggie. We're finishing off the base patrol for the Genestealer Cults as we get our last 2 units over 4 issues. So before we get into it, a big Merry Christmas and a happy unboxing day if you've got some awesome gifts over Christmas. I got very little, I'm afraid. So this is kind of going to be my Christmas treat. I did do a live stream last night where I built the 3 characters. I can't use my fingers today. Well, I built the 3 characters that we've had so far. We had a bit of a sound error on the microphone, so I don't know if it's just the headset or whether the cables were a bit out of place, but yeah, it didn't exactly work out on the sound side of things. I'll try and get that sorted for the next time I do a live stream. So we're coming up to the end of the year, and that means there's going to be a bit of a year in review sort of video coming up. I haven't done much to planning it. I'm going to probably dig out my favourite few models. Of course, I'm going to answer any questions. So far, I've only had 1. So if there's any questions you want to ask and get to know about what's coming on the channel and how I do things in my hobby outside of the channel, drop me any comments, questions in the video description down below, and I'll get back to them in that video. So we've got 4 issues to look at today, 67, 68, 69 and 70. So yeah, the final issues for our Genestealer Cults, and then next month we're starting the Astra Militarum. Kind of interested for those. We know how we're going to be painting them now, seeing as we've had a update tutorial for our Chaos Space Marines where we painted our first Cadian. Well, his head anyway. But yeah, looking forward to getting that Combat Patrol sorted. So let's, without further ado, head over to the table. But before we do, don't forget to, of course, do all the usual. Like this video if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, drop me a comment down below. Not just the questions you want to get answered in my year review video, but any general hobby questions, queries, what's coming next, videos, etc. or where certain videos are. Let me know in the comment section and I'll get back to you guys. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. Just because Christmas is over doesn't mean you can't still get your friends that much important hobby gift before the new year. And who knows, there might be even a New Year's sale in the close future, so check them out. There's a link as usual in the video description. Right then, let's get over to the table and take a look at delivery 16, 17, question mark? Let's go. So here we are with our latest delivery, our usual paper bag, which is how they've gone to doing all deliveries now, getting more environmentally safe, I guess. Off to the side, you may have noticed, we've got the aberrants. So yes, I am a little bit behind on videos, but these guys are painted up, ready to smash heads with their pickaxes and hammers. And I've still got the paint video to do, plus all of the, well, I've done the lore, just got all the gaming articles to do. So we're going to be painting, of course, the Aberrant Champion, the Hypermorph. So he's probably got the most detail. We've got pretty much all the colours we're going to be using in the paint guide on this guy, so it'll be fun to paint. One other thing I want to show off is something I've had for a while now, but I keep forgetting about they exist. But a friend of mine, Marcio from Portugal, sent me over some awesome dice, and they are Tyrannid / Genestealer Cult themed. Not official, but still a pretty cool sort of design. And yeah, pretty good dice. 2 6s already. Yeah, I might even use these at some point for the Combat Patrol series, who knows. They are kind of bigger dice compared to the ones I'm used to using, so I maybe use them for character attacks, etc. But we're not here to look at dice and half-painted models, we're here to get on and look at our latest delivery. So, let's adjust the camera and we can dive right on in. So then, I've already opened the bag as I've checked the contents. We'll put all that out of the way. And ta-da, here we have our latest delivery. So 69, part 1 of our Rockgrinder. 70 then, part 2 of our Rockgrinder. These are awesome looking kits. A lot of details to do. Then we got 67 and 68, part 1 and 2 of our latest Neophyte Hybrids, plus our replacement cards. And yeah, that is pretty much it. So without further ado then, we'll dive in with issue 67. So let's get up close and personal with issue 67. I've already seen these on Planet of Dead, etc. So we've got our first sprue here with the hybrids. We've got the cult icon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of legs and torsos. We've got autoguns, shotguns again, all the sergeant or champion's pistols. So we've got grenade launcher, flamer, and the Weber as well. All in all, loads of different extra bits of detail, different heads and stuff as well. So as I said in a previous video, I'm going to be building these guys all with auto guns, and I'm probably going to mix up the special weapons as well as the weapon pistols for the champion and his melee weapon as well. So quickly flick through issue 67. Sorry, I had sticky pages. So here we go. So we're into the issue of our build guide. So we're building our leader. So we're going for pickaxe and Weber again. I'm going to be giving him probably bolt pistol and the power maul just for something different. But I'll build this guy up as he's shown here. Seismic cannon I'll probably replace with the mining laser. And I'll probably keep the heavy stubber though. Weber I'm probably going to replace with grenade launcher for a bit of fun, I think. And then, yeah, everybody else we're going to go with auto guns. I like how it shows shotgun there, but auto gun there. Is he the only one? Nope, all the others are correct. Shotgun, auto gun, auto gun, auto gun. Then we've got a story called Insurrection, where we're dealing with the cult inside a Astra Militarum regiment. We've got our second battle record for our second unit of Neophyte Hybrids. As we're coming to the end of the patrol, we're starting to get the campaign pages. So, Genocide Cults versus Space Marines and Genocide Cults versus Tyranids. So this is the end of the cult uprising where the High Fleet has arrived. And yeah, they now have to deal with not being eaten. And finally then we have our faction abilities. So we've got Cult Ambush, including some awesome 32mm markers to cut out. So I'm going to mount those on some nice card and get them cut out. So I got how to make use of your cult units, etc. and ambush. Then we got our patrol rules, so our enhancements. So we got a sonic shield, which while the bearer is leading a unit, ranged attacks allocated to the models in that unit, add 1 to the saving throw. So pretty cool, add 1 to your saving throw when being shot at. Or else you could have the resonance stave, so you have anti-infantry 5+ and devastating wounds on your melee weapon for the mages. Probably the psionic shield might be your best one. Improving your save is better, especially against AP, weapons of AP value. Secondary objectives then rise up, so we score D6 for each objective marker you control that has 1 or more Neophyte Hybrid units within range. On a 1 to 3, score 1 point, 4+ score 3 points. So that's pretty cool. Score loads of points depending on how many objectives you control with your Neophyte Hybrids. Else we've got Will of the Patriarch, so as long as you're at the centre of the battlefield, you score 15 points at the end of the game, providing your magus is within 3 inches of that battlefield centre. Finally then we got stratagem, so defend the magus, lurking killers, and return to the shadows. So all in all some nice tricky things. And then we got our markers there to cut out, so pretty cool, just little blips sort of things. I have some that I got from a White Dwarf back along, but they're smaller. I don't remember, I think they're like 25mm, maybe even less, but yeah. I got a bunch of different GC Cult markers that are free with a White Dwarf. And there we have it. That's that issue. Up next, part 2. So 68 is here. And with it, part 2 of the frame and all our bases. So, part 2 of the frame here then. Mining laser, seismic cannon, heavy stubber, and we got our champion's weapons, either chainsword, power maul, or power pickaxe. And yeah, shotguns, autoguns again for building your basic troopers. Don't know if you can still take these guys in big blobs of 20. You used to be able to, which is why you could give every guy shotgun and autogun if you wanted. But yeah, these guys are really fun to field back in the day in big blobs. Then we got our bases again, so 2 32mm bases and 8 25. First things first then, let's take a look at our new terrain cards. So 2 craters. And this time they have the correct matching sides. And I've started picking up the bits to make these terrain cards. So I've got the shrine for the Adeptus Mechanicus Knights. So I've got this part coming. It's also actually included, I think, or something similar to it in the seismic drill, which I've also ordered, which was on a made-to-order on Christmas Day. And then we got these fuel canister things, which are Necromunda. So I'm going to order those. I'm watching the frames on eBay. Probably going to order 2 sets of frame, because each set of frame builds 2 full tanks. Plus I'm going to need the components to make these defensive barricades for the other crater. And then again, I'm not too sure how I'm going to get hold of these. One of these frames is from a Necromunda frame that I can get hold of. The rest I'm not too sure. I think they were either objective markers or kill team markers. I can't quite remember. But yeah, nice that we have the correct cards now. And yeah, we got the Cult Ambush rule, the correct enhancements, the correct secondaries, and the correct stratagems. So we have the correct cards needed to field our combat patrol, and an extra set of the unit cards just in case. Alright, here we go into issue 68. Really vintage GC the Cult artwork there, going back to the really old days of 3rd edition, I think it was. Back when they had a mini sort of rule set, you could use them. They were really fun back in the really awesome and really ugly looking back in the day. But yeah, that's the older style models from so many years ago. Right, into the magazine, we've got our paint guides. So again, it's the same paint guide. We're painting literally everything the same as we did last time. Going to be spraying mine grey again. I may decide to pick out some details different, just so I help identify each of the units. Haven't quite decided yet. Painting them all up using the same paint guide we did before, so all the same sort of colours over different areas. Yeah, just take your time. A reminder to touch up with Abaddon Black. Then on to the shade stage, which is where I will be ending my paint guides for these guys. Seeing as the paint guide is the same, I'm probably not going to be doing a paint guide for this unit. The votes have seemed to have gone that people wouldn't mind having more of a full-on battle, so we might see some of the patrols we've completed recently in their fullness. So yeah, we can get rid of a lot of the stuff in one set of videos and then have a combat patrol battle. So there we go, there's our finished models up to this point. Then we're having a look at Outrider Broods. So these are the members of the cult who ride scout-like vehicles. We've got the Achilles Ridge Runner, the Talon Jackals, which are our bonus unit, and we've got the Jackal Alpha there. Would be nice if we got her as a character, maybe. I know he's not an actual character, but it'd be pretty cool to have an optional leader for the combat patrol. Yeah, Cage Ridge Runner, so nice little ATV vehicle. I believe it has a transport capacity. I'll have to check the combat patrol datasheet that has the Jackals and the Ridge Runner in. We have our 16th part of Bonds of Honor, and we must be getting near the end of it. Haven't read it, of course. Yeah, it does look quite interesting to see how we get. And yeah, I'm guessing we got more backup from the Votan there. Into our gaming articles, more pages for the campaign with Eldari and Chaos Space Marines. And our 40-second scenario Overrun, which has our Genestealer Cults face off against the Orcs, who have fielded a Death Dread. You see a nice sort of newer artwork for the Genestealer Cults. So yeah, looks like we do have Orc boys to deal with. So who are we actually facing up against? No, Orc player just has one Death Dread. So 2 units of 10 Neophyte Hybrids, 1 in the reserve and 1 in the deployment zone. So yeah, we do get to try out Cult Ambush though. And there we have it. Up next is the awesome Rockgrinder. So let's get into this with issue 69. So, part 1 of 2, we got ourselves our big centerpiece unit for the combat patrol. And this frame builds the base chassis. So 2 sides, the top, the plate, the front, the sort of stowage area there, the bulldozer, and the additional details. So we've got the inside, the hatch that goes into the inside of the vehicle, another footplate sort of thing, different doors and windows, tanks for the side, the nozzle sort of flamer. So you can either give it the flamer, a mining laser, or a seismic cannon, I believe. And yeah, there we have all the extra little bits. So the main bulk of the grinder. So let's check this issue again. Wasn't as bad as the other issues. So into the magazine we go. We got our build guide. So let's start building our truck. So base plate, the side, the front, more cab sort of area, the rear of the cab, the inside sort of areas of the truck, the other side, other platforms and bits and bobs, doors, windows, the bumper. Going on the front with all these extra little gubbins at the sides here, exhausts, little bits of stowage items, hammers, railings, windows. And we got the handrails for the standing area there. So make sure we put the wheels in the correct place. So they need to be high up, not low down. I believe low down is for the transport option that you can build this as. So if you are building the transport option, you don't have this piece on, you just glue the railings around the sides. So the railings you would put up here, you put there and there. And then this becomes a open area for your troops to jump out of. So yeah, building up like this is our Rockgrinder version. So we have the clearance incinerator, the weapon of choice, or heavy weapon of choice for the combat patrol datasheet. But there are other options. Then we got the gunner pilot here. So he sort of sits at the back here and pilots the flamer. And then we also have the cupola gunner who sits in here. I believe, yeah, you will paint this as a sub-assembly, so set it aside. So these two are set sub-assemblies, and the wheels are sub-assemblies. That's going to be interesting. And we're building up the dozer blade. So is this going to be a sub-assembly? Once you have finished this sub-assembly, set it aside to be painted. You will complete the model after painting. So yeah, while the glue on the hull is still flexible, dry fit the dozer blade and apply gentle pressure to line up the mounting points perfectly. Then we got our final assembly, so stubber, the gunner controls, adding on the wheels and the dozer blade, and there we have it. So moving on to our next lore article, we haven't actually got information on our particular paint job of painting our Genius cults, but we are looking now at the different other cults you can get. So the Faithful of the Star Children. So we've got the Rusted Claw. This is kind of the closest we're doing, so very white and bone, red. We've got the Bladed Cog, so these are the mechanical world sort of cultists. So really cool, red armor, blue cloth, etc. That'd be a nice alternate paint guide to do. We've got the Pauper Princes, so these have orange fatigues, grey cloth, black armor, bone mining suits, etc. Then the Twisted Helix, so often infiltrating medical worlds and using medical experimentation to help spread the curse. Nice sort of blue-green armor, blue fatigues, brown levers, black mining suit. Really cool looking sort of cult there. We have a short story called Custom Job. So the orcs are back. We have a nice short story. And we also look at the old ways, as we look at the Beast Snaggers. So we learn all about the different Beast Snaggers. They're Big Boss, Mozrog, Scragbad. Then we got our battle record for our Rockgrinder. So we create a name for the crew, and then we got a title on the titles page, I believe. If not, we just make up a extra name for it. So yeah, then we got our battle record. So we got Clearance Incinerator, 12 inches, 2d6 shots, strength 6, -1, 1 damage, ignores cover and torrent. Demolition Cache, so we can use the demolition charges, but they aren't one shot, which is pretty cool. Heavy Stubber, so rapid fire 3, 36 inches, strength 3 attacks, hits on a 4+, strength 4, no AP, 1 damage. And Dozer Blade has sustained hits for 6 attacks, hits on a 3+. Sustained hits 1, actually, I can't read. -2 and 2 damage each, so pretty dangerous. Can get up to 12 if you roll all 6s. So yeah, this datasheet doesn't actually have the firing deck, but there is the firing deck rule in the downloadable Combat Patrol. But despite the fact that it has that rule, you can't actually transport anybody in this vehicle. Moving along, we got our campaign page, 2 for the Genius of Cults, Cults versus Orcs, and Cults versus Votan. Then it's over the page to our next issues, so part 2 of a Rockgrinder, and I think the interesting one is going to be our first set of Cadians. So the Command Squad, so Ashmoritar characters, a new scenario, and we build and paint our Command Squad. So yeah, 4 character sort of models: Champion, Medic, Comms, Banner, and a Veteran there. Pretty cool. Can't wait to get these guys. But we've got a while to go for that, so let's crack on with our final issue, issue 70. Right, leftovers is pretty much what's going to be on the sprue. So what do we have on the sprue? All the cogs and teeth for the Dozer Blade. We've got the wheels, all the extra little bits and bobs that help hold things on, the railings and such. We got our heavy weapons, so the heavy stubbers here, twin heavy stubbers, or twin autocannons, sorry. These are for the transport version, so they replace the heavy incinerator. We got the heavy stubber there. We got a hammer. We got our gunners. We got additional 2 dudes that can be put on top. So yeah, at the end of the build, you will have 2 extra full bodies left over. So one with auto gun, and the other has an auto gun and demolition charge that you can be throwing. And we also have another auto gun here, which if you wanted to, you can build up. Another guy to have a different set of arms, which I can't actually see the other arm. So that's the support arm for that. we've got that, and I'm guessing he's got like an open hand there. So yeah, pretty cool. So if you don't build the Rockgrinder, you have this dude here who would be using the controls for the weapon. He can be built with the auto gun and the open hand. Yeah, plate there for the heavy weapons, for the auto cannons. Got the exhaust, we've got the mining laser, barrel there, and is there the seismic cannon on here? Yeah, there it is. So yeah, you can choose either a seismic cannon, mining laser, or the incinerator, which is what we go for the combat patrol. All in all, pretty cool. Like I said, there's going to be some nice leftover bits when it comes to this guy getting built. And yeah, lots of fun. Right then, let's quickly check this issue for stickiness. And that one was quite sticky on the back few pages. So glad I took time to gently peel it open. Right, into the issue then. So last time we had a build guide. This time we got our paint guide. So we've got all our sub-assemblies. So the tyres, the dozer blade, the main chassis, the clearance incinerator, and the crew. So we've got points where to put our blue tack for keeping the paint off. Then we're getting to the painting process. So start with an undercoat of Abaddon Black. I'm going to be starting with an undercoat of Ghoul Grey. Then the tyres, you want to, once the black's dry brush with Mechanical Standard Grey. Then shade the entirety of all the light grey areas with Agrax Earthshade, before we come back in with a dry brush of Administratum Grey to bring up the grey again. And then a fine dry brush of Powdered Witch Flesh for some highlighting. Then we're doing the crew, so picking those out in grey, Catch and Flesh, Wraithbone, Lead Belcher. So when you come to the Lead Belcher, we're starting to pick out all the details of the actual tank itself. So there's a lot of silver areas on this model, so just take your time. Then we've got gold details, so we're picking out the connectors on the railing here, any cult icons, fuel tanks, and the nozzle on the incinerator. Goggles, any charges, I picked out in Mephiston Red. Picking out the wrappings on the railings with Mephiston Red. Repaint the lights with Abaddon Black, as well as any cables, soft cables, gloves. Fuel tank, picking out with Avalanche Sunset, lights of Avalanche Sunset. The sheet here, holding down items with Rakov Flesh. Macragge Blue for the window, Caliban Green for the control screen. Right-click Flesh Shade is used to shade all of our leather and gold and yellow details. Nuln Oil on the green, the red, the blue. Agrax Earthshade on the Rakov Flesh. Caribou Crimson on the skin. Coolio Green Shade on the suit. Light edge highlight of Calgar Blue at the bottom of the windows. Night Crystal Flesh highlighting the dark flesh as well as the levers. Powdered Witch Flesh for the light flesh as well as the stowage sheet. Auric Flesh to highlight the control screen. Wild Rider Red to highlight the red details. Corax White for the mining suit and the fatigues. Mechanical Standard Grey for the gloves and any black straps. And this is where the pages won't listen to me. And finally moving on to our final details, so Stormhost Silver for all of our metallic details. And then we're on to our final assembly. So remove all your blue tack, apply your glue to your feet, your weapons, your tyres, etc. and put everything in its place. And when you're finished, you'll have a rather awesome centerpiece model. Did you find all the wires nestled on the chassis? So there's lots of little details to pick out in red, looks like it. Are you happy with your dry brushing on your tyres? They should look just like real rubber. And there we go, our completed Rockgrinder. It looks really impressive. And there we have it from the other side. So all in all, this guy does look really cool. Can't wait to get mine built and painted. So last time we learned about different cults. Now we're looking at the main cult, the Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor, which is the one we're painting our combat patrol as. So yeah, these guys are expert underminers. They're the most numerous of the cults. And yeah, these guys are the sort of basic colour schemes. that most of the cults are shown in. We have a bit of background about Gosar Quintus, which is a world where, here we go with my favourite name, Deathwatch Overkill was set on. A kill team led by Chaplain Cassius of the Ultramarines was sent in to eliminate the cult after a previous team was wiped out. We had our first ever official Blood Raven model in the form of a librarian. Then we got different members of the cult, so the awesome high pure strain gene sealers there. Yeah, nice little bit of detail there. Finally then we got a bit of background for the combat patrol. So this is how the Hand of the Magus breaks down. So Magus, 10 Neophytes. So a champion, 5 regular guys, 1 with the icon, 1 with the heavy stubber, 1 with the seismic cannon, and 1 with a Weber. Then we've got the same again, so 1 champion, 1 set of 5 hybrids, 1 cult hybrid with firearm and cult icon. Then we got heavy stubber, seismic cannon, and Weber. So I'm going to be changing up the weapons, but I'll still play them as they are written. 5 acolyte hybrids then, so 1 with cult leaders' weapons, 2 with claws and knives, 1 with demolition charges, and 1 with a heavy mining tool. 5 aberrants, 1 hypermorph with improvised weapon, and 4 aberrants with power weapons. And the Rockgrinder with clearance incinerator, demolition charge, cash, heavy stubber, and drill dozer blade. There we got a lovely shot of the patrol all together. And we're finishing off this issue with what else but a solo outing for the Rockgrinder, and how much of a certain amount of enemies can it defeat scenario that we see with all these sort of big tanky units. So we got our stage table, our score tracker. We do have a decreasing weapon profile on our data sheet. So when the Goliath Rockgrinder has 1 to 3 wounds remaining, you subtract 1 from hit rolls, so once we're heavily damaged. But we have a mighty 10 wounds anyway, so we got a reminder of deadly demise. So once we are destroyed, we roll a dice. On a 6, we blow up, and everything within 6 inches will take a mortal wound. Well, in this case, D3 mortal wounds. Then we have the stage table, which I mentioned. So start off with 3 Hearthkin warriors, then 2 Iron here, then 1 Carl, 3 orcs, 2 Deathcopters, 1 Boomdacker, 3 Infernus Marines, 2 Terminators, 1 Chaplain, and then 1 Captain Terminator armor. And again, if we manage to wipe out 2 units in a single turn, we clear 2 stages. And then the opposition player will deploy the units for each of these 2 stages during the next command phase. So if, say, we get to stage 2, what am I trying to say here? So that's kind of hard to actually do, because you only advance a stage each time you destroy a unit. So unless there's somehow counting in each model as an individual unit, that's not gonna... Yeah, I have to get a proper read of that, I think. But yeah, there we go. So, cult victory, cult defeat, and then on to our next 2 issues. So we got our command squad, and then we've got our last paint issue. So White Scar and Uriel Yellow, our final 2 paints. We learn more about the campaign, and by the looks of it, we learn about different chapters of the Adeptus Astartes. We've got Raven Guard, Imperial Fists, and White Scars there as well. So yeah, starting our next combat patrol, we only have 2 left to collect, Cadians and then the World Eaters. Alright then, that is it for the delivery. Let's bring everything back in. I'll give you my final thoughts, and as usual, I'll put the pricing up as well. There we have it. That is our latest delivery for Combat Patrol. And it's a pretty light delivery, but we get some pretty chunky models from it. So I'll try and keep this short and sweet. But so for plastic wise, we'll give this a good rating then, because we get this awesome big chunky tank and a unit of 10 guys. So good old plastic rating then of 5 out of 5. Gaming articles there, or gaming supplies, should I say, we only got our replacement data cards, so I'll just give it a 2 out of 5, I think, as they've actually got the correct stuff this time around on the matching correct sides. Magazine content, we do have a lovely amount of content. Really wish they did something special, different for paint guide for these guys. You know, maybe change up the colours on certain areas, maybe change the cloth from red to yellow or something, perhaps, I don't know. But I know they're trying to keep everything uniform so that it all matches into the same sort of theme. But yeah, maybe could have given us an optional paint guide if you wanted to paint one of the different other cults that we got in issue 67. Or was it 68? One of the others. But yeah, all in all, it's not too bad. So magazine contents then, as usual, we get the awesome stuff. So again, a solid 5 out of 5 for that. And we don't have any painting supplies, as that is not until next delivery, which we are only getting the 2 paints. So all in all, a nice random average of 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, all in all, it's been a great delivery. The Rockgrinder is obviously the star of the show here. This guy is going to be a monster to build and paint. But yeah, I'm glad I'm going to be painting my base coating mine with a lot of spray paints to get the majority of it done. So all the crew, the weapons, the main body I'll spray with gold grey, and then the tyres I'll spray with matte black. Then give everything a once over with the base coats the magazine tells us to. So Administrator grey on the majority of it, Abaddon black for the tyres. And all in all, yeah, this guy's going to be quite fun to build and paint in the end. The paint guide is really good, I must admit. So yeah, very helpful to getting this guy to a nice complete stage. And the amount of sub-assemblies we have is also pretty good, I think. They could have cheaped out on the sub-assemblies, really, by not omitting to paint the front by leaving the dozer blade attached. Same for underneath, they could have left that off unpainted by simply gluing the tyres in place. But yeah, I think they did a really good job with the paint guide. They've really outdone themselves, made it a proper little centerpiece for the collection. Again, I really wish they could have done something different with the cultists. But yeah, all in all, really, it's up to you how you want to build and paint these guys. If you want something a little different for games outside of Combat Patrol. My 1000 point force only really adds 2 units that we don't get within the entire collection. So it adds the premium kit. So if you are going premium, it will add those guys. It adds an extra unit of Acolyte Hybrids, and it adds 10 Pure Strain Gene Stealers, which I already have everything to make this a good 1000 point force. Plus, it also goes to show how much this original Combat Patrol was worth points-wise in the grand scheme of things, whereas the newer one is a lot less, as we only have a few smaller units in that to, well, give us a sort of an outridery sort of feel. But there we have it. I'm going to call it quits there, otherwise I'm going to ramble and repeat myself over and over again. But there we have it. That was our latest delivery. As usual, the prices should have been up somewhere on the screen for you to check out, somewhere around, you know, the general screen vicinity. So yeah, all in all, great value. So 20 quid for this, which is normally, I believe, 50, if not more. I believe it was 40 something when I first bought the kit back in the day. And these guys are also 30-ish quid, so not too bad. 20 quid for the total unit, which is pretty good. And yeah, your basic sort of most needed troop unit for the combat for the army. Always worth having these guys. But all in all, pretty great delivery. And there we have it. So let me know what you thought of this delivery in the comment section down below. Of course, drop me any comments and questions you have for my end of year sort of review, year in review video that I'm going to be doing in the next week or so. I am off now to film the rest of issue 66, and then I'll get this edited together and up on YouTube for you guys. So without further ado, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time for more Combat Patrol Carnage as the cult comes to its full. See you then. Bye.